ominous music in the background.
Aha! Feminist Baker, 'tis I brought you here at the end of the last episode when I drugged you with your Joffrey pie. Because I had to put an end to your angry lesbian critiques before you ruined more shows with your angry feminazism.
Really? Are we really going to get into this? Look, I'm not a feminazi, okay? All I want is some good stories about women that don't evolve into stereotypes and that possibly actually pass the Bechdel test, alright? If you want to see some real angry feminism, go read the Scum Manifesto, okay? Am I calling for the castration of men worldwide? No. Am I going to try and start a separatist lesbian colony? No. Although that would be quite fun. So can you stop accusing me of being some radical crazy woman?
Well, you have to stop accusing me of being a sexist then. I'm not a sexist. I love women. If anything, you're the ones that are sexist. Always presenting men as lazy and irresponsible.
Oh, you bloody men's rights activists. Okay, Fathers for Justice have some legitimate concerns, but the rest of you can jog on. Riding on their coattails and saying that men are the marginalised group in society and that women are taking over your TV and your internet.
Hey, that's not fair. Most men are very sensitive and kind, and all they want at the end of the day is a nice cold beer. Ow! Ow! Stop hitting me! Ow! Ow! Ow!
My show, my kitchen. Get out of this. Skedaddle, skamoosh, vamonos, be gone!
I'll be back, Feminist Baker.
Girls.
Following the success of her first feature film, Tiny Furniture, daughter of New York artists Carol Dunham and Laurie Simmons, Lena Dunham paired up with writer-producer Judd Apatow of bromance buddy comedy fame to create the new HBO series Girls. Hailed as the new grittier Sex and the City for the 21st century 20-something, Girls has run for 4 successful seasons and made a lot of people very happy and other people very angry.
Personally, I think it's a great show. One that I really enjoy watching. Is it good for feminism and the representation of women? Well, I think so, though many don't. So, let's look at its flaws and its fortunes while I make some suitably boozy gin and tonic cupcakes. Shall we?
No, 9, nada, no, not gonna happen, no!
I am not talking about Lena Dunham's personal life, her faux pas, her politics, or her memoirs. That would make this show way too long and way too complicated. And anyway, we can separate an artist from their work, can't we? We can appreciate something without liking the creator. I just want to look at the show. The show follows a group of privileged 20-somethings, graduates from an elite liberal arts university, now scraping by in New York. Well, I say scraping by. They may have unpaid internships and have lost the financial support of their parents, but they're still doing pretty okay. Still, they're unemployed or hopping from job to job, bad with money, bad with relationships, and generally incompetent at life. Now, for lots of people, this makes for uncomfortable viewing as it's too close to home, but frankly, I enjoy seeing it, and I find myself nodding along. Run that. Had that fun. Oh, and I definitely dated that guy. I can only speak for my generation, but for us little uns born in the 90s, there was a general attitude espoused by parents and teachers that it didn't matter what you did at university. Go study what you love. The world is your oyster. We have a booming economy and you can do anything you want, get on any graduate scheme and still have the job of your dreams.
That turned out not to be the case. Our economy crashed, companies cut back and only the very best were taken on, and a whole lot of humanities students found themselves stuck. Unhappy and unfulfilled, but still motivated by the image of what their parents had promised them. That is the world of Girls, so I relate to it. I think it has a place on our screens.
So why do I like it? I have a pretty low bar for what I consider a good feminist show. Well, no. I have a pretty low bar for what I consider a tolerable show. You know, something that I won't be actively offended by and immediately change channel. So what do I need? 1, realistic characters that have fully fleshed out stories, and 2, plots that I actually want to watch. Simple. That's all it takes for me to watch a thing. Do we have A? Yes, our main characters start out as archetypes, but they become deeper characters over time. The more we see the interactions between the girls and their changing relationships, the more depth we see. They adapt to new situations and mature, whilst still having the occasional kitchen floor reset.
That's where you end up, back at your mum's house, on the floor like a... so much, why does it hurt so much, Mum?
They act like normal people with motivations and imperfections. For example, Shoshana.
Oh, Shoshana. She starts out as the archetypal Jewish-American princess, neurotic, fast-talking, and a little awkward, before we will now experience a short intermission for spoilers. She gets into a relationship with a much older man, who can make her feel secure, before she realises she's too good for him. She tries on a different lifestyle of partying and sleeping around, ultimately failing university and going into full kitchen floor reset meltdown. End of intermission!
So yeah, well fleshed out, flawed characters. Girls get a tick on that one. Does it have stories that I find compelling? See above about realism in the show. So what marks it out as particularly feminist?
Bam! It's right there in the title. This is a show centred around and about women. It puts on screen the daily goings-on of women's lives and discusses issues central to us. Not many shows do that. Plenty of shows talk about it as side notes to the main story, and there are shows which incidentally have women as the protagonist, but not many that are so obviously focused on us. And I feel like a lot of feminist-style stuff advocates for flawless, awesome, butt-kicking women. Arya, Black Widow, Furiosa, who are all awesome, perfectly awesome, and perfectly badass. But I like seeing more flawed, unlikable women, and more everyday women doing everyday things. No swords or guns here, just stupid hipsters getting high on... twigs? Not that it's called women. It's called girls, because that's what they are. They are late adolescent, not quite grown-up humans who are still struggling with adulthood and acting like spoiled little girls.
Aren't there more important stories to tell? Well, probably, but it's still a story, and there's clearly a market for it. And I prefer it to stories about the uber-wealthy anyway. You know, the OC, 90210, Gossip Girl, basically Dallas for teenagers. Girls have small stories with small dramas, not soaked in the privilege of the uber-wealthy, just in the privilege of the moderately wealthy middle classes. One of the loudest objections to the show is race. In possibly the most diverse city on Earth, all we see is white characters interacting with other white people. And this is bad for obvious reasons. It's unrealistic, it denies acting roles to whole groups of people. Perhaps it even reinforces the idea that white stories are what matter. Not so much this show on its own, but this one programme adding to the already white blanket of television. The white blanket affects what gets produced, because TV executives look at ratings and see that white people are popular, or at least white protagonists.
There are responses to this. However, as a white woman from a fairly privileged background, and not even a US citizen familiar with American race relations, I don't feel I have the authority or insight to discuss this in depth and do it justice. So what other criticisms are there? There are some feminist writers who have complained about the representation of Hannah's relationship to boyfriend Adam, saying it promotes women subjugating themselves to men, since, Adam is a Class A penis-faced douche canoe and treats Hannah horrendously. But I disagree with this interpretation.
I know, right? Feminists having diverse opinions. Who'd have thought?
I'd say it's possible to have feminist values and portray them. A lot of people have gotten into these sorts of compromising situations. Lots of girls do go out with jackasses like that and do get treated badly. Because they're in love, because they're insecure and someone is showing them affection. I don't condone it, but I think it's something worth exploring.
Yeah, the guys on that show are complete arseholes. Why do they present them like that?
Well, so are the women. It's equal. Sometimes the girls are arseholes, sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're insecure, sometimes they're more confident. She's writing them as complete characters. The other thing I like on the show is the nudity.
Oh, that's just typical. You don't like the nudity on Game of Thrones and you like it on this. You're such a hypocrite. What's the difference between the nudity on Game of Thrones and this?
Here's the difference.
Almost all of the naked bodies we see on Game of Thrones are hot, nubile, slim, spotless, stretch markless, flawless, carved marble. They don't relate to most people's actual body shapes, and combined with the way they are shot, it's clear that it's on screen for our titillation. Compare that to Hannah and her body. We see a much more realistic body shape. And she's quite comfortable in her own skin. Just little shots of her being fine with her nudity or hiking up her tights tells us that she's comfortable with her body. And it never comes across as being pornographic. It's just showing that nakedness is nothing to shy away from or be embarrassed by.
A woman who is not stick thin and is okay with it?
While Hannah seems pretty confident, she isn't all the time. There are times when she feels awkward and ungainly and unhappy with her weight. She reacts like a normal person would. Sometimes we roll out of bed and think we look hot today. Sometimes we don't. It's refreshing for me to see a woman who isn't totally neurotic about it and not totally dismissive of it either. No sassy fat friends here. Just a normal, insecure girl.
Do you see my point?
No.
So that's all there is from Feminist Baking this week. Have a good day. Toodaloo.
Ooh, I'll be the one who'll break my heart.
My face tastes like gin.
I love him very much. He's a very good friend and in no way a men's rights activist. I do not condone violence towards anyone, even if they are a men's rights activist.
I'm disabled as well. I go on feminist marches. I've actually been on more feminist marches than she has.